Yeah, there you go. I know I am. I know. I'm kind of watching that. You want to look at what you're doing. Actually, hand me that. I left my other pen. No, I got it here. I got it here. Joe borrowed a pen. I only had two.
What's up, city manager?
No, it's not. I'm trying to.
Yeah.
Besides everything in blue.
But really, I was
I
trying
know,
to
and
see,
actually fussed at me.
make you think.
Fussed at me some
Because what is
when I
that?
signed in black ink here, but I've always been used to using black belt pens. I said, they can't tell that's
Yeah, but it's
an
a beat.
original.
Right. It's a beat.
Yeah.
Okay.
But they get down to some real legal stuff.
I must have beats last night.
I got it going to sign it, and then there's that blue pen. Still sends me a message, so I do that.
How do you do that?
Okay, you know how you do.
That's good beats.
Okay, you take it, you know the head, the
Yeah,
middle.
sure.
Take it, cut it off, and then wash it like you're gonna put grains of spinach, and then you can chop it up like you want it. But what I do, I take smoked turkey tail. Yeah, because it's more healthy. And not a lot of it, and you let it boil, and you don't need but just a little bit of water. Smoked turkey tail, you need to have the water with a pot, and pour it out. So you got 2 cups of beef, greens. Then you want maybe half a cup of water, because they make a lot of
Yeah.
but they taste just like spinach on the season. They are so good.
All right.
I take from the market, and another batch.
Have to try that.
Good for you.
Yeah, beats are good for it.
How long you been eating?
Not long enough.
But the turkey tails give you real.
Yeah, I gotta figure that out. Turkey tail.
Yeah. Put your little cayenne, just a tail.
Yeah.
And
Reverend,
Where am I?
how you doing? Good.
get them a soup. And they like to.
Meat department.
If y'all please rise, I'd like to invite Reverend Leonard Cook, St. John the theologian, Cape Girardeau, to come and give us our invocation. Reverend Cook, thank you for being here again.
You're welcome, Mr. Mayor. Oh, Lord our God, before we begin these duties this evening, we pause to ask thy help upon these thy servants. We ask that thou would guide them in their deliberations and in their decisions, that they may always look for what is thy will in what they do. We ask especially that thou would bring peace to this world. Let each of us be instruments of thy peace by showing forth thy peace in all of our dealings. We pray also for the sick and the suffering. Shed thy blessings upon them. We ask thy blessings upon this council, all the citizens present, the employees and of the city of Cape Girardeau, and all of those who are visiting. We give thee the glory. All praise, glory, and honor in the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit, both now and ever, and unto ages of ages. Amen.
Amen. If you'll join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Please be seated. I'll call this meeting to order. This is our June 19th meeting of the Cape Girardeau City Council. Thank you all for being here, being present. Roll call, please.
Here.
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 Council, we need to adopt the agenda, and as discussed in our study session, the motion would need to be to approve and remove, by removing item 9 from the consent agenda for further discussion.
So moved.
So moved by Gunn, seconded by Guard. Those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? We have no presentations tonight. Communications. A couple, 3 things. Me, number 1, I attended the reception for the retirement of our Cape Public Schools Superintendent Jim Welker recently. Jim has been a stalwart in our public education system and has brought some real stability to the administration of our school district, and has accomplished numerous things to the benefit of not only the school district itself, but to all our citizens in our city of Cape Girardeau. And we wish him well in his coming retirement, and also to Neil Glass as he assumes the reins at Cape Girardeau Public Schools. City Manager Scott Meyer and I were at the university last week with President Vargas, and were introduced to the pieces of sculpture that will go be put together and go to the roundabout at the River Campus in late July or into August sometime. Yet a date to be determined, but very excited about that. It's been a great project for the students at the university, and is a great partnership between Southeast Missouri State University and the city of Cape Girardeau. So we're looking forward to that. Then I also picked up at the desk tonight the sign of the total eclipse in Cape Girardeau, Monday, August 21st. It seemed like a year away, but now it's getting close. And this invitation is 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. at the Cape Girardeau Sportsplex. The totality is at 1:20 for probably a couple minutes. But we'll be out at this point. I kind of plan to be out at the Sportsplex. So nice great place to visit, Julius. So we'll be talking more as we get closer. A lot of events and a lot of things going on for the total eclipse. Other communications from council? Shelley, any communication from you with the?
The town hall?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Well, earlier, as I said, the town hall meeting was a huge success. You know, we had people there that asked the right questions and answers, and we got a lot of feedback, a lot of ideas of things that we could adopt to make changes to the water rate going up, or some kind of way we can make alternatives and things like that. So it was a good meeting. The outcome I thought was very favorable and much needed. So it was wonderful. We will be having more town hall meetings in the future, because this really was a good dialogue moment.
Okay, very good. Thank you. Any other council? Communication staff?
Nope, not this time.
Okay. We have no public hearings this evening. Anyone here to appear before the council on any item that is on the agenda this evening? Anyone to appear? Yes, sir.
Councilman, Pastor Wittenberg, Jr., Greater Dimension Ministry. Just standing on behalf of those who also attended the town hall on Friday. I too agree that it was a a great dialogue and a great opportunity to share some of our views pertaining to what is going on in regards to the water, sewer, and increase. One of the things that we did discuss, and I'm not sure if maybe this was mentioned earlier, I wasn't able to make it earlier, but I would like to just give you some of the ideas that were brought before the town hall, and hopefully that you guys will be able to review it, and hopefully it will help in the decision process that you're about to make, and that would be in the favor of not actually raising those fees. During the meeting, a few ideas that we have to offer for your consideration is to rescind 107% increase in the water bill deposits. Instead, increase incrementally until you reach that goal of 155. Do not increase or disconnect. Do not increase the disconnect or reconnect fees until the issue has been studied further. We have concerns that it will basically be affecting a certain geographical area, and we would like for that to be studied a little bit more so that we can see if there can be some other outcomes or alternatives in regards to that. Also reopen the conversation with the CMO staff person to explore avenues of ensuring students understanding the need for paying their bills on time and the consequences for leaving balances. Okay. Also engage in discussion with landlords who rent to students about the student utility bills, make them aware that that's something that needs to be addressed when they actually rent the property, so they'll know what their obligations are and that won't be left when they leave. Also create a position or liaison or collector, someone who would be willing to help those that may be in need and actually be more so proactive instead of reactive, and helping them to assure them that, hey, we're willing to work with you and try to help you get this bill resolved, instead of just saying, if you don't pay, you're out. But I think if we can meet those obligations earlier, or meet with them or talk with them or have a liaison, which I think would also bring a better fellowship or community involvement, to let them know that the city does actually care about what's going on with them, that they would be more receptive. And maybe if they can't pay the whole bill, but if they can pay partial of the bill, it would be enough to help them get focused on how much more they got to pay and when they got to pay it. So I think it'd just be a way of being proactive and just saying, you got this much time, this is when it's going to be done. I was in collections. I know I've had collection calls, and I've also made collection calls. And I know when the collector called me, or someone who was a liaison for that bill, hospital bill, or whatever it may have been, I tend to gravitate more so to those people who seem like they were willing to work with me to try to get things resolved. And I think for the city, I think it would be an excellent idea for that person to be someone who is generally concerned about the community and the needs of the people that are actually calling in. So it's not someone who's just going to be so stern that they're not open to the options of helping them out and trying to make a resolution for that bill. Create it or include persons impacted by the changes in the city policies and the conversation about proposed changes to help shape outcomes which result in the least amount of harm to the most vulnerable. And I think that's just morally, and just being a pastor, we want to make sure that we are really taking care of those, or trying to assist those that at times are in a hard place and can't get any help. So I think it's important. I know we heard about the agencies and them being able to basically use all their monies, but when they've used all their monies, then they come to the community, such as churches and other organizations, to help. And so I believe that if we can help address that and kind of meet it early, I think we will be able to really meet the needs of our city and our communities, and we have a much better place to live. And also create and add one to help option to the water bills, which I think is a great idea. I know the utility companies, I know it says utility bill, but when I say utility, I think electric. And that may also be something that you may want to address as far as the bill, because when it says utility, some people think electric instead of water, sewer. But adding an additional dollar, or asking those who will be willing to donate and add additional dollar, would actually help, maybe in the funding of helping those in need at the time of need. So those are some of the ideas that we came up with. Hopefully you will choose them as options, and we can go from there. And we thank you for your time.
Okay, thank you for being here. Anyone else? Any item that is on the agenda? Okay. Greg, if you will take us through the consent agenda, less item 9.
63, an ordinance amending Chapter 15 of the Code of Ordinances of the City of Cape Girardeau, Missouri regarding taxi cabs and transportation network companies. Bill 1763, an ordinance amending Chapter 15 of the Code of Ordinances of the City of Cape Girardeau, Missouri regarding taxi cabs and transportation network companies. Bill 1774, an ordinance renaming a portion of Kiwanis Drive to Maria Louise Lane in the City of Cape Girardeau, Missouri. Bill 1774, an ordinance renaming a portion of Kiwanis Drive and Maria Louise Lane in the City of Cape Girardeau, Missouri. Bill 1775, an ordinance accepting a permanent utility and drainage easement for 2005 Evergreen Drive and a permanent drainage easement for 2009 Evergreen Drive in the City of Cape Girardeau, Missouri. Bill 1775, an ordinance accepting a permanent utility and drainage easement for 2005 Evergreen Drive and a permanent drainage easement for 2009 Evergreen Drive in the City of Cape Girardeau, Missouri. Bill 1777, an ordinance authorizing the city manager to execute a wayfinding signing agreement with the Missouri Highways and Transportation Commission, replacing wayfinding signage on MoDOT right-of-way in the City of Cape Girardeau, Missouri. Bill 1777, an ordinance authorizing city manager to execute a wayfinding signing agreement with the Missouri Highways and Transportation Commission, placing wayfinding signage on MoDOT right-of-way in the City of Cape Girardeau, Missouri. Bill 1778, an ordinance vacating the northernmost public alley right-of-way running east from Missouri Avenue to Sheer Lane, rights-of-way in line between Mississippi Street and New Madrid Street, right-of-way in the City of Cape Girardeau, Missouri. Bill 1778, an ordinance vacating the northernmost public alley right-of-way running east from Missouri Avenue to Sheer Lane, rights-of-way in line between Mississippi Street and New Madrid Street, rights-of-way in the City of Cape Girardeau, Missouri. 80, an ordinance amending Chapter 30 of the Code of Ordinances of the City of Cape Girardeau, Missouri by changing the zoning for the property located at 600 Highland Drive in the City and County of Cape Girardeau, Missouri from R3 to R2. Bill 1780, an ordinance amending Chapter 30 of the Code of Ordinances of the City of Cape Girardeau, Missouri by changing the zoning for property located at 600 Highland Drive in the City and County of Cape Girardeau, Missouri from R3 to R2. Bill 1783, an ordinance authorizing the city manager to execute a transportation planning consolidated grant agreement with the Missouri Highways and Transportation Commission for Southeast Metropolitan Planning Organization expenses. Bill 1783, an ordinance authorizing the city manager to execute a transportation planning consolidated grant agreement with the Missouri Highways and Transportation Commission for Southeast Metropolitan Planning Organization expenses. Bill 1785, an ordinance authorizing the mayor to execute a special warranty deed to SEMA Legends LLC for property along the North Sprague Street in the City of Cape Girardeau, Missouri. Bill 1785, an ordinance authorizing the mayor to execute a special warranty deed in SEMA Legends LLC for property along the North Sprague Street in the City of Cape Girardeau, Missouri. Bill 1786, an ordinance establishing utility rates in the City of Cape Girardeau, Missouri by amending Chapter 22 related to solid waste fees and Chapter 29 relating to sewer and water rates. Bill 1786, an ordinance establishing utility rates for the City of Cape Girardeau, Missouri by amending Chapter 22 relating to solid waste fees and Chapter 29 relating to sewer and water rates. Bill 1787, ordinance approving the record plat of Collins Mill subdivision phase 1. Bill 1787, ordinance approving the record plat of Collins Mill subdivision phase 1. Bill 1790, a resolution authorizing the city manager to execute a license indemnity agreement with the Tottenham Investments LLC to install awnings located at 115 Broadway in the City of Cape Girardeau, Missouri. Bill 1791, a resolution authorizing the city manager to execute agreement with Kenneth E. Fosty Masonry, Inc. for the masonry for Arena Park restrooms project in the City of Cape Girardeau, Missouri. Bill 1793, a resolution authorizing the city manager to execute 1 T hangar lease agreement and 11 hangar lease agreements at the City of Cape Girardeau Regional Airport. Bill 1794, resolution authorizing the city manager to execute a lease agreement with Elite Avionics Services LLC at the Cape Girardeau Regional Airport.
Council, you've heard the reading of the consent agenda, less item 9. Do I have a motion for approval? So moved by Fox. Second by Zero. Discussion?
Mayor, I'd like my vote for number 12, 13, 18 to be marked under rescission for financial reasons.
12, 13, and 18. Have that one, Bruce?
Yes.
Any other discussion? Seeing none, those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Greg, if you'll read item 9 now, please.
Bill 1784, an ordinance adopting the annual operating budget for the City of Cape Girardeau, Missouri for the fiscal year beginning July 1, 2017. Bill 1784, an ordinance adopting the annual operating budget for the City of Cape Girardeau, Missouri for the fiscal year beginning July 1, 2017.
Okay, Council, I'd like a motion for approval. So moved by Gunn,
Second.
seconded by Moore. Discussion.
Mayor, are we going to be incorporating the changes that were proposed by staff regarding the golf course?
I think there's 2 items that are on my plate for amendment, and that's the golf course fees, and then the support, proposed support from staff for matching funds on utilities.
So then we're making it.
There would, if council is wanting to make amendments, those were the two that I have in mind, that we will.
And I would like to propose an amendment. I'd like to propose an amendment to match Julia's recommendation, which would increase grievance fees on weekend rates 5%, increase tournament fees 5%, increase concession fees, and bring in junior golf.
And all those would start January 1st.
January 1st, 2018.
Yes.
As the memorandum states.
Right.
Done in accordance with.
Right. Do I have a second? Moved and seconded. Discussion on that amendment. Personally pleased that we're going that way, and we're reacting to a staff decision on this, and that it is would be going into effect at the start of the calendar year and the season, and not mid-season as we're going. So per the reason I had the nay vote on the amendment last session. Other discussion? Seeing none, those in favor of the amendment as presented, aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Okay, thank you.
I can say, I would like for us to discuss that a little bit more, and especially bringing in the utility.
That was on the golf course.
That was just the golf.
That was just the golf course.
Okay.
He's talking about on the other.
That's just the golf course fees that'll start January 1, 2018.
So we've amended it to include that. Now we're gonna.
Now we would
Okay.
look at,
Okay.
if we have a
Sorry.
motion, we're looking at the possibility of some matching funds as per staff recommendation to work with local nonprofits to ease the burden on the utility costs and the shut-offs and reconnects.
We have a memorandum on that.
We have a memorandum on that.
I think we just, I just have it verbally. I can tell you what we're
That
talking
was,
about.
that was in your weekly.
Yeah.
Your weekly update.
So-
Yeah, why don't you go ahead,
So the
Scott?
staff has proposed, in order to address the concerns about the raising of the deposit from 75 to 155, which is a lot all at once. And so some of the concern was about how that would put additional stress on the agencies and on churches who help people with pledges. And so what staff came up with was an idea that would match pledges toward deposits up to half of it. So if they pledge 75, then we would pledge 75, or if they pledge 77.50, then we would do 77.50. So up to the pledges that they have for the deposit portion, because that was the one that seems to would cause the most stress for agencies and the most stress for folks who would be trying to get their service turned back on, especially. And so we would also work with those agencies to know about this and to try to identify those who are the most strongly affected. And so we would work with them on that. So so staff proposed $500 per month to match those pledges. That's an amount that we put out there. And it would be the source of those funds would come proportionally from those same enterprise funds in the same proportion of which they have the regular bill. So traffic or solid waste has about 25.55% of the average bill comes from them. So that 25.55% of that amount that we do there would come from that enterprise fund, and the same for the other two. So that's how we would propose to do that. And then we would make that available, and we would keep you all informed as we go through how much usage we have and those types of things. We would propose to do it for 1 year.
And that would be matching funds, so if it says we'll pledge $100 or $75, we'll match that.
Right,
pledge
toward the deposit.
towards the
Now,
deposit.
Okay,
I think that's, do you feel like that addresses some?
It was a reaction to the stair stepping it,
Right.
that
Instead
we've
of
supported on the
stair-stepping
backside.
Putting
Right.
this in place.
Yeah.
All right.
So that's a recommendation from staff.
I think it's worth noting too that the deposit is for people who don't have established accounts with the city.
Right.
And I think it's also worth noting that the goal is to eliminate some of the 200+ disconnects that happen every month in the city of Cape. And what's important to notice is the reason a water meter is different than every other bill that people choose not to pay is that the city of Cape has to come back and turn the water on again, because there are not houses in the city of Cape that when the water's turned off, that the water isn't turned back on again. At some point, the water is turned back on again. So we are needlessly wasting substantial manpower hours turning water off so that people come in and pay their bill, and then turning water back on because people did pay their bill 200 times a month. I mean, this is absolutely unacceptable. And it is also worth noting that the city of Cape has the most lenient rules in terms of utility collections of anywhere. Nobody's ever given me an example and said, you know, you guys are so hard on people that over here in wherever, the community just down the street, they don't do it that way. So I'm glad to hear that staff is thinking outside the box and trying to come up with ways that we can address these issues. I think it's important that we stay focused on why we're talking about them to begin with. And I hope that we can actually improve the numbers that we're seeing.
And I will echo those comments that it's a method toward improvement, and it's not a penalty. It's a method toward improvement of the process. And through this recommendation, we want to be a part of helping along the way as we transition.
Absolutely. I mean, we don't want people in Cape with no water.
Right.
We don't want people in Cape with no water. We don't want people in Cape living in houses with no electricity. Not that we provide the electricity, but we don't want that either.
If council, if there could be, we have room for some more discussion, but I'd like to get a motion to such so we could get it on the table for
I can
discussion.
make a motion.
For the,
Follow up memorandum.
okay, the memorandum that would add $6,000. Okay, for the memorandum by Guard,
I'll second.
seconded by Fox. Other discussion, one other discussion item for me, I would like to, I don't know whether 6,000 is the right amount. So I'd like to have staff monitor and keep council apprised of that as we go along. And if it is necessary, we can readdress that throughout the year. For some, I think that's a good starting point, but we don't know. So keep us informed as we go if this passes. Other discussion?
Well, I would like to say it's not necessarily that, going with what Joe said, we understand why, but there's two whys here. You got the why they can't pay their bills,
Mhm.
you know, and you don't really know if how this will impact people that are working and they just don't have the money. And it is real. I mean, when you're making $8 an hour and you got to pay rent and you got to pay water, feed your family, take care of a lot of things, and the money is just not there, then the city or agencies, which I think is a great thing, but they need to come together. We need to find some kind of way to offset the burden that, because it's being raised. And so we need to find a way to help those who are less fortunate be able to pay their bills. So it's not that they don't want to pay their bills, you know, it's just that they get in a place, and we have all, well, I say we have all been in that place at some point in our time, you know, and maybe more than others, but I would not want us to look at the fact that, well, we doing a service for the poor. No, we're doing a service for those who don't have the money to do it. And it is real. It's not a plaything. It is real. Some people just don't have the money to make the payments, and they're already struggling. And so then here we come again, you know, and it's coming. And maybe we really do need to look into how we are processing the thing, because at the town hall meeting, it came up, and this is how I was looking at, okay, we get a bill this month for $50. That's the water bill. And we don't have the money, or they don't have the money to pay their water bill at $50 a month. And then the next month come is another $50. And then the next month come is another $50. That's $150. It should be something put in place where they never get to that second $50, because I don't know what it is. I don't guess nobody does, but there's going to come a time where they're not going to have the $50. Now they're looking at $100. This is hypothetical. Then if they don't have the $100, now they're looking at $150.
Well, that's why it has to be shut off earlier.
Well, we need to find a way to help,
But
either some type of way they can tap into education on how the system work in the city, or now you have $50, you need to get it paid, you know. So we need to work the kinks out. I mean, everybody is not just not paying their bills, not everybody.
Well, and I understand what you're saying, Shelley, in that these people don't want to not pay their water bill, but what we have to recognize is that the only way to prevent it from getting to 3 months behind is to stop it at 1, which is, you know, our leniency, like I brought up before and we discussed several months ago, I think in April, our leniency is probably what challenges a lot of these people, in that they probably don't know when the bill gets shut off. When you shut it off in between months 3 and 4, or 4 and 5, you know, I mean, I'd have a hard time keeping track of that myself. All I know or care about is that I'm behind.
That's it.
But the other important thing that we have to remember is that the money that pays for all of these things is an enterprise fund, which means that for every dollar that we don't collect for water that was delivered to someone who doesn't pay, means we have to raise the price of water to someone who does pay. And that's a very difficult.
Well, are we raising the money, the price, because they can't pay? Or are we raising the price for another reason?
We raise the enterprise fund so that the amount it costs to deliver water equals the amount of money we collected.
Right.
It's not the amount of money we bill, it's the amount of money we collected. So if we are more lenient on collections and fewer people pay us, then we have to raise the price on the people that do pay us. And if we increase the leniency and then more people don't pay us, then we have to raise the price on the people that do pay us. And it keeps working out until at some point you could have people paying for everybody. This is a generic dilemma that exists on all levels of government. I'm not speaking just on water.
I got you.
And the education piece, Shelley, probably, you know, it gets, we probably need to do a better job of getting people that are having problems in touch with agencies. We probably need to do a better job of that. But penalizing the ones that do for the ones that don't, we gotta be very careful with that.
I'm not saying penalize.
It's a very slippery slope whenever you're penalizing the people that do for the people that don't. That, I mean,
And I
I
understand that.
struggle with that.
Yeah, I understand that, but there's a vacancy, a void in it
Yeah.
that we need to dialogue on
But
about it.
the major increase that we're looking at is the deposit fees, right?
Right.
And and I wasn't here but, coupled with the agencies, trying to educate them and doing the match. Honestly, other than educating a little more, I think we've done all we could do.
Couple comments, is that over the last, you'll notice that on over the last 6 years, the average annual increase in rates has been 1.24%. So it's been very, very minimal, lower than inflation. So we're dealing with and we got a vehicle on the table that will, that we want to monitor, that will aid as we go through this process, and we can adjust, we can react to that as we go through the year. The other comment was I would like staff to analyze and come back with maybe a possible recommendation. One of the recommendations I heard at 5 o'clock, and then I heard Reverend Byrd say, is the +1.
Yeah,
That could be a voluntary with the people that pay, that realize that there are people in need. I don't know how much that would get, but and that needs to come from staff, but I'd like staff to research that if that would be a possibility.
Well, I think the good thing is our new computer system, which is kind of facilitated some of these things, is I think we'll be able to handle some of these things and some of these communication pieces for us. So, yeah, we'll definitely look at the things that we talked about Friday night and as possibilities for other solutions. I think I think somebody mentioned water audits and also budget billing perhaps and things like that we could do. So we'll certainly look into those and see if we can find ways to do those as well. And I think I told you about SEMO, where I actually had a young lady afterwards come up and talk to me. She's from SEMO and she wants me to come to their orientation. So that's a good piece too.
So I think we have a vehicle here that we can use to start out the year. And again, don't overemphasize enough, keep council informed as we go forward, what happens. If the intent of what we're doing is working, and what the dollars that we're using out of that, what the authorized funds that we have as we move forward. Any other discussion?
I think it's important to note that some of the things like the pay agreements and discussing with people that they can repay their water bill incrementally to get caught up. We
Yes.
do already.
Mm-hmm. Right.
So we allow that up to twice a year, that people can enter 12-month, up to 12-month
Pay agreement, yeah.
And those things are happening. They're not talked about a lot. And a lot of the time they are successful, but they do exist now. And the goal, for me at least, is that fewer people's water gets shut off.
That's
What's really.
that's the intent from the beginning.
Yeah, because these are 200 water meters that are being shut off, that it doesn't benefit anyone that they were shut off. And we're gonna have to go back and turn them on eventually.
Any other discussion on this amendment? Those in favor, aye. Opposed? Okay, now we have the original item 9 that has been read and the 2 amendments that have been approved. Is there any discussion on the budget? Any other discussion on the budget or the amendments? Seeing none, those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Okay, thank you. There's the budget. Okay, new ordinance, number 19, bill number 17-89, an ordinance amending Schedule W of Section 26-137 of the Code of Ordinances of the City of Cape Girardeau, Missouri relating to truck routes. First read.
So
Been moved by Fox
Second.
and seconded by Guard. Any discussion? Those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Number 20, Bill number 17-92, an ordinance amending Schedule T of Section 26-260, the Code of Ordinances of the City of Cape Girardeau, Missouri, by establishing handicap parking along a portion of Main Street. First read.
So moved.
So moved by Moore and seconded by Fox. Any discussion? Those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Number 21 is Bill number 17-95, an ordinance approving the record plat of Cape West Village 4th subdivision. First read.
So moved.
So moved Fox,
Second.
seconded by Guard. Any discussion there? Those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Number 22, Bill number 17-96, an ordinance approving the record plat of Edgewood Highlands subdivision Phase 9. First read. Moved by Guard, seconded by Zura. Any discussion? Those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? And Bill number 17-97, an ordinance appropriating funds for operating expenditures, capital expenditures, and transfers for the fiscal year ending June 30th, 2017 in the city of Cape Girardeau, Missouri. First read.
So moved.
So moved by Fox, seconded by Zura. This is getting us to the end of the year. Those in favor, good discussion? Those in favor, aye. Those opposed? And appointments, council, as we discussed, mayoral appointment to the Public Library Board of Directors, and there'll be reappointments of Amy Trueblood and John McGowan, and leaving one item open for until the next meeting. If I could have a motion for that.
So moved.
By Gunn,
Second.
seconded by Moore. Those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Do we have any business to come before us?
Make a motion to adjourn.
By Card, seconded by Zura. Those in favor, aye. Those opposed? We are adjourned.
That's gonna be hard. Jack, we got I'll get you right. That's exactly right. No, that's not working. Tomorrow evening.